All right, so everybody, we are streaming live on Facebook with Black Bar Fitness, and today we're here with Joseph Almany from Bodyweight Lifestyles. So definitely thank you for stopping out here. Always nice to have you.
Excited to be here.
Well, good deal. I'm glad to hear that, man. So I know I've worked with you before, and you've been doing personal training and fitness for a while now, but I know one of the things I always enjoyed was your approach really to kind of fitness, and it was very different than what I think most people will kind of traditionally find within health clubs, whether or not it's from the nutritional path that you take, implementing certain supplements, and really just the way that you do a lot of things more kind of like with what your business is going for with the Bodyweight Lifestyle, more calisthenic body control movements. So kind of tell us a little bit about what kind of got you into fitness and what is a little bit more of your passion with fitness.
Sure. My interest in fitness, I guess, started a long time ago. My parents owned a gym when I was little, so it's kind of in my blood, really.
And what kind of gym was that? Was that just like a typical 80s gym with
yeah.
the iron weights and aerobic classes full of spandex? Or?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So, which is, the old school gyms are the best kind, really, I think. But yeah, so my interest in fitness started really young, just through that. In high school, like a lot of guys, I got into lifting weights, and after high school, then decided to become a personal trainer. It was a few years after high school, I guess around 2006 or 7, somewhere in there. Became a personal trainer, and yeah.
Okay. So now I know you take a little bit of a different approach with personal training with your clients, and a lot of that comes with like I know you implement a lot of like yoga and Ishin's yoga, and I even remember like one of the first couple times I got to meet you, and you were telling me some of the stuff that you had done, and you had gone through the Ishin's yoga course. Now I was just like everybody else who's listening to this. I was like, what is Ishin's yoga?
Sure.
So, but after the first time you showed it to me, I was continuing to do it still to this day in a lot of the different poses. But
Cool.
Definitely, I'd like you to be able to kind of go in depth a bit, educate people as far as what that is and what are some of the benefits from it.
Yeah. So it was around 2008 or so. I was lucky to meet John and Jessica Hines of the Monkey Bar Gymnasium, and at the time I'd been suffering from a lot of back pain, and so I worked with John for just a few minutes at a fitness business convention, and immediately I got relief in my back, and I was very impressed with them by the way they looked and the way they moved. They were doing some demonstrations, and so I wanted to learn more, and so I went and took their week-long intensive course where we covered the Ishin's yoga, bodyweight training, and plant-based nutrition. So it pretty much flipped my fitness world upside down, coming from a lot of bodybuilding, heavy weight training, eating lots of protein, and taking lots of supplements, and so since then I've been studying Iyengar yoga and a little bit of stuff from David Scott Lynn, Let Go yoga, and kind of and just working and studying on my own, kind of just building my own system. But the Ishin's yoga is pretty unique in the way that they use a lot of hands-on feedback, and it's an alignment-based yoga, and so you just you can eye people up and see where they're carrying tension, where they have imbalances at, and then you can give them a little feedback, and then they basically resist you wherever you touch them, and that allows them to activate the muscles that need to be activated. So it's been a godsend for me, really. I was in a lot of pain whenever I first met John Hines and Jessica Hines, and it's helped me a lot, and it's helped a lot of my clients out a lot.
Okay, and when you say you had like a back injury, was that from like a car accident or?
No, it was more of.
I feel like a lot of people, whenever they start doing yoga for reasons, I feel like a lot of people kind of have the ideology already ingrained into their head that if they have any kind of mobility issues or if they have any kind of injury, the extreme flexibilities that come along with yoga, people are like, I need to stay away from that, or I would definitely not be able to do this at all.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of curious as far as what kind of back injury you necessarily had that they were able to show you and convince you that this modality of exercise and fitness was going to be beneficial towards your wellness, basically.
Yeah, so the one thing about the Aishin's yoga is they don't focus on getting you to twist into a pretzel so much, as they do with basic poses and really working the alignment and the muscle actions. The back pain I had wasn't any like kind of an impact injury or anything like that. It was mostly progressive over time, just muscle imbalances creeping in to the point where it was, debilitating, 5 times a year or so. I'd be laid up, or walking funny for a couple of weeks.
Right.
Sometimes stuck in bed. It was never one incident for me. So the main culprit for my lower back pain, at least, it was coming from muscle imbalances in my hips, weakness in the lower abdomen, stuff like that. Which
I think
is
that's
common.
that's a huge problem with majority of people. Their hips.
And and I got lucky running into these guys because I had worked with chiropractors and physical therapists, and nobody touched my hips, and they were the only people that did that, and that made all the difference in the world. And most of the time when I work with people that have low back pain, that's where it's coming from, is their hips.
Right. Either with that anterior, posterior pelvic tilt, and sometimes that for a lot of people just progress right down through the connect chain, either towards the knees and the ankles, or shoot straight up. And so we really only have the two girdles. You either have your shoulder girdle or your pelvic girdle, and you always see a lot of people normally, if they have that issue within the hips, it's not very long after that it ends up invading the shoulders, and then they have the rounded off look, and they're hunched over, and then everything's all out of whack.
Yeah, and I had a little version of all that going on. Anterior pelvic tilt, rounded shoulders.
Right. And not long, everything's looking all left up, and
Yeah.
we're just not getting anything done right.
And you can't move right.
Right. So is the yoga aspect, is that something that you definitely implement in with every one of your clients whenever you're dealing with them?
Oh yeah. If you work with me, you're gonna do some yoga for sure, because I feel like everybody needs it, and it doesn't, regular stretching, and a lot of regular exercises that people do don't explore the range of motion, that we have, or that we have the potential to have, and build strength through that range of motion. And that's what yoga is really good about doing, is balancing out the muscles, the opposing muscle groups, so that you have balance in the body, and then also building strength through a wide range of motion, that you usually don't get whenever you train on just machines. Or if you just stretch, you don't build any strength. You might build elasticity in one direction, but you don't have any strength and stability, so you may even be just opening yourself up to more problems.
Right. Well, and that brings up a really good point, because I know a lot of people don't necessarily always realize, as far as, most people that are pretty big into fitness realize that, your tendon connects the muscle to the bone, but a lot of people don't necessarily realize that that tendinal strength and that flexibility really, it really is what primarily allows for that muscle to go through other stages of hypertrophy and actually get larger based off of the elasticity of that tendon and what that range of motion is that's in there for it. So, and then you brought up the point as far as, with the machines, and granted, definitely no knock on your parents, because I'm sure they had quite a few machines. Most gyms do, but and I think those are the circuit training aspects of the machines. Those were, I think, started by the guy who founded like the Nautilus systems, weren't they?
Yep, Arthur Jones.
Yes, yeah, Arthur Jones. Yeah, he had like a 12-station circuit, or 10 or something like that, I think.
Yeah, and his training concepts, I think, are valid to a point. And machines maybe have their place in some people's training, but general population wanting to be healthy, I definitely don't think they need them. Yeah.
Right. Well, I know that I've definitely used some different machines before, and they work to a point whenever it comes to maybe on a certain instances you can really isolate down on a muscle, rehabbing. You can do necessarily like really lightweight on, say, like a leg extension. but I have always found that real big kind of disconnect with treating your body like a circuit
Yeah.
and then allowing your body to function as a system.
Mm-hmm.
And I would see that quite often just as working in a gym, and I would see some guys there were some pretty large guys, and they could maybe sit down on, say, a lat pull down and do 270 pounds on lat pull down, which is probably, 70, 80 pounds over what their natural body weight was,
Uh-huh.
but they couldn't do a single pull up.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm not really necessarily sure how impressive that is if you
Uh-huh.
can do a lat pull down that much, but you really can't demonstrate that you can control your own body weight.
Yeah.
And so that was a lot of the different things that kind of got me into calisthenics, other than doing gymnastics whenever I was
Yeah.
really young. But I always definitely, liked the idea of being able to do push-ups and pull-ups and hold a planche and do L-sits and planks and get some rings and do an iron cross. That stuff always felt kind of more impressive to my own functionality, and really there isn't a whole lot of ego in the gym. Like, you shouldn't, so what's most impressive? But I know a lot of people that when they go to work out, they definitely use it to boost self-esteem,
Sure.
feel better about yourself, and get in that fitness.
Mm-hmm.
I just always felt better knowing that I had this better control over my body, especially when you look at fitness being such a lifelong goal. It's definitely a lifelong marathon. It's not I don't care about what happens when I'm 50. I just need to look the best I can while I'm 35.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make your 50s and 60s and beyond that enjoyable.
Yeah.
So, and I've always loved Jack LaLanne. That guy is literally one of my icons, and I try and follow all of his stuff and look up to him, before he passed. But
Yeah. Actually, I got to meet him at that same convention that I met John Hines and Jessica Hines at.
that would have been
It
amazing.
was cool. Yeah. And then he passed away like 5 months later, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that was sad. I only got to work with, he had a team of people it was founded by a couple relatives of his, and this one I was going through it was called PFI out in Las Vegas. It's a 1-week boot camp called Professional Fitness Institute. And there was a couple people that came out on one of the days, and they did a demonstration, and they were talking about a lot of his concepts and fitness techniques and training. And they have a Jack LaLanne kind of group of just basically people that will follow him. And I try not to necessarily follow just one person as a guru, but you can't help but really look at him and say, if there was one person that made it from cradle to grave,
Sure.
exuding fitness, I think he would probably be that guy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for sure. I definitely look up to him just for what he did for himself, but also as inspiration for who I would like to become in the fitness industry. Something like that. For
right.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably plenty of people at, say, the healthiest age they are when they're either like 28 or 32,
Mm-hmm.
could not have their feet tied to tugboats and pull it across the Hudson River, and he was doing this when he was like 82 years old.
Yeah.
And pulling multiple people with it. So back to as far as training with your clients, I know you work with you run Bodyweight, your Bodyweight Lifestyles website, and train through all your clients. So what other than just the body weights with the Ishins yoga, like, kind of give us an example as far as what clients can really expect to get through working with you?
Yeah. So everything I try to combine with the bodyweight training and the yoga is I try to make it, I guess, scalable and sustainable, I guess. would
Okay.
be, I think is the right the right way to put it. So you should be able to continue to build strength and build bodyweight skills and things like that. And if you don't stop doing those things, you should be able to maintain them really for most of your life. You may have seen videos of 90-year-old gymnasts or yogis on TV, and they'll do the same, almost at least the same stuff that they were doing, 50 years ago.
Right.
So, so with
Well, just as far as what your clients can expect, as far as, I mean, a lot of trainers will almost kind of have like a I hate using the word religious protocol because that makes it sound weird, but kind of just like almost a direct path as far as what they will put them through. That is their kind of brand of their personal training with the client to show them success. So I was just curious as far as with yours how that looked, whether or not it dealt just strictly in body weights, or if there were cases in which you wanted to implement sources of weight, whether or not they were kettlebells or resistance bands.
Yeah.
And then I know you had also mentioned stuff about the plant-based nutrition. So kind of going as well a little bit on that if you can, as far as how you really advocate to your clients a more proper way of giving their body nutrition.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess basically the outline of what I try to do with everybody is we use a lot of the Aishin's yoga to build alignment and stability, and then I'll use progressive calisthenics exercises along with basically just some of the more demanding yoga poses, and combine those into a workout so that you get the muscle building benefits along with the structural balancing, the flexibility and mobility and all that good stuff. And then I coach them on a plant-based diet. And from what I've seen, at least being a trainer for about 10 years and experimenting on myself for almost 20, the plant-based diet is the easiest way to get lean for sure, because you pretty much, for me now, it's I have to work to keep weight on, compared to before. If you're going to try and stay lean, you're fighting to try to stay lean. So it's the opposite of how things were when I was eating normal foods and still counting calories or tracking macronutrients and things like that. Also, I just feel a lot better. Most people feel a lot better when they switch that I've worked with, just because they're getting so much more nutrition than they're used to. People eat the SAD diet, the standard American diet, and they're not getting any fiber. They're not getting hardly any vitamins and minerals and enzymes and things like that. And then everything that goes in their body runs through them like sludge. It takes too long to go through the system, and basically kind of backs up and creates toxicity in the body. So
right. Well, I know that was a big thing as far as whenever a lot of different people will use like John Wayne as the example.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy would eat so much red meat, and he would have his regular steak and eggs for breakfast, his hamburger for lunch, and then a big old T-bone for dinner.
Yeah.
And, people don't necessarily always realize, as far as like literally your body can only digest a certain amount of red meat. And I can't remember the name of the book, but I read one a few years ago that was great, and it broke down the different meats, things off of plant-based diets, of how your body can tolerate those and how it breaks them down based off of your blood type. Great book. But it was pretty much almost kind of given out to where, within a 24-hour period, your body can basically break down about 6 ounces of red meat cooked, anywhere from medium rare to rare, about 18 hours for a 16-ounce piece of steak. Double that to about what the normal American is, and it's right around 32 hours.
Yeah.
So it's just like most people will be like, oh, well, it should just be about the double amount of time, and that's pretty much what it is. But that's why it was a sad thing whenever he passed away, and he had, I think it was like 50 pounds of undigested stuff in his colon.
Yeah, Elvis was the same, I heard too.
Yeah.
40 pounds.
Yeah, and then that was actually kind of a little bit of some irony there with everything and where he passed.
Sure. Yeah.
Elvis passed on the using the stool, and he was just, there was maybe a blockage, tried to strain too hard, and probably had a heart attack.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Yeah.
So now, as far as with are there certain things as far as correct me if I'm wrong, you're not a total vegan, correct? Or
I am. Yep.
Okay, so you don't like to eat the eggs or the milks or the...
Yeah, none of that. I do have some honey sometimes, and that's one of the questionable items.
Okay, so really kind of explain that one to me, because I think that'd be a great one. You hear so many people when they talk, and they say, okay, well, if you're a vegan and you're not, other than that, you just got soy, which so much unfermented soy, the male body will read as estrogen. I'm pretty sure it's one way or the other. I can't remember if it's fermented or unfermented soy that your body will read as estrogen over a certain amount.
Yeah, the fermented is better, yeah.
Right, because I think it was maybe the fermented over a certain amount your body can, but all unfermented soy your body will read as that way. Because I knew I used to be able to sit down and eat like a huge mounded bowl of edamame.
Yeah.
I would use that instead of popcorn. And then I was just like starting to read some stuff, and I'm like, maybe I should cut down on that stuff. I don't maybe necessarily need it as much. But most people will say, well, where are you going to be able to get enough protein from an adequate, high enough protein source to maybe not necessarily just maintain your lean muscle mass, but increase and build upon it?
Sure.
So,
the main thing really is if you're eating healthy foods basically whole foods, so not packaged products. It's not hard to get enough protein in really, and basically with a plant-based diet, general recommendation is like 80% carbs, 10% fat, and 10% protein. I don't really fall in that neighborhood myself completely.
Right, because most plants, that's all they are, is a simpler, simple carb.
Got the carbs, yep. But pretty much most stuff has protein in there. Banana has like I think a gram or something like that. So by the time you eat all those foods, and as long as you get enough calories in, you get plenty of protein. And then some of it might be more usable than say so if somebody is eating steak and things like that, and maybe if you're cooking it, you end up losing some of the nutrients. So they're not getting as much protein as maybe they think they're anyways.
Right.
But for me, as far as gaining weight on a plant-based diet, just eating enough, eating more, to gain weight, eating more fatty plant-based foods, lots of nuts, adding in coconut oil.
Big on avocados.
Peanut butter, avocados, stuff like that.
That's what my girlfriend and I, we've been doing that for probably about the last 3 months or so. That's what we'll use as far as just dips. We're big on we'll mash up a couple avocados, mix that in with some Athenos hummus, and make our own little chip dip with a little bit of olive oil and some seasonings, and stuff is delicious. Where do you find it the easiest? Do you just pretty much only shop at a Whole Foods for the most part, or farmers markets? Because most grocery stores are their fruit and vegetable selection is either crap or everything added onto it is unwanted crap.
Yeah, no, I usually I try to buy a lot of stuff from Aldi's just because it's they have they've kind of been in the news lately with their newly expanded basically health foods, I guess, that they have available now.
Well, didn't Aldi's in their version of Whole Foods Trader Joe's?
I think them and Trader Joe's are kind of related somehow. Yeah.
That's what I had heard one time, but I couldn't remember if that was true or not. But
so
I always thought that was a cool thing. I was like, kudos to Aldi.
Yeah. So I buy most stuff from there, and they got a pretty nice produce section. So I don't always do organic produce. It wouldn't be a bad thing, but I don't right now.
Right. And I do know that a lot of people would always say, as far as definitely either your definitely your fresh is better than the canned, and frozen is even sometimes a lot better than the fresh because of the stuff that they all have to put on there just to make the shelf life for it stay out there. So whenever you're doing did you find that you with doing kind of a lot of because most of the fruits and vegetables, that's all a simple carbohydrate, so it's not necessarily you're packing your gut full of breads and starches and such like that to really kind of keep you full. Do you find that you have to eat a lot more frequently, steadily throughout the day, kind of like a grazing cow, for lack of a better term?
I've done a lot of intermittent fasting while doing plant-based, and so not necessarily. But
when you say the intermittent fasting, because I've heard of that, and I did try at one point. I heard somebody tell me that they were it'll probably be one of the best things for your metabolism, help with lean muscle, and allow your body to keep off body fat, to fast 1 day a week. What was the intermittent fasting that you looked at?
Tried? I read a book called The Warrior Diet by Ori Hofmeckler a long time ago, and so I don't know when I read that book, over 5 years ago, maybe even close to 10 years ago, and basically you want to go for 16 hours, or if you can, 16 hours fasting, so if you eat your last meal, at 8 or 10 o'clock, you want to go, wait until 2 or 4 or something like that, early afternoon before you start eating anything again. So I would usually just have just coffee, in the morning, and then 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, sometime I would usually have had my workout around noonish, and then I would have a smoothie then, and then I might snack on some nuts and fruits until dinner, and then for dinner eat a big salad and rice and beans and stuff like that.
Right. So you'd only maybe eat about 2 to 3 meals a day, and then the other part included with your sleep would be an intermittent fasting period.
Yep. So right now I'm eating more frequently, but I haven't really, you can pull it off for sure. If you were going to do the 80-10-10, with your ratios, that would probably have to be more consistent feeding, because it'd be a lot more. If you're not relying on the fats to get your calories in, you'd have to eat a lot more volume of fruit,
Right.
mostly.
Right. So if the 80-10-10 is not necessarily like what seemed to work best for you, what's that ratio breakdown that you found worked better for you?
So as far as losing weight and getting lean, I like the 80-10-10. For putting on weight, I guess I probably fall more around maybe 50%, 40 or 50% carbs, and 20 to 30% fat, and then the rest protein.
Right. So as far as looking at it, as far as what your kind of mentality is towards the nutrition aspects of it, are there certain diets that a lot of your clients are coming to you saying that? Because I always found that, I mean, a lot of times, like, I had specific nutritional advice that I would give to a lot of my clients, especially if they were looking at either wanting to lose weight or gain weight. And it always seemed really kind of ironic that they would come and they would ask me a question, and then I would give them advice, and they'd be like, oh, well, here's what I've thought, and this is what I've been doing. I'm like, well, obviously, like, you're asking me because it has been maybe necessarily working, but whether or not it was like the protein power or a keto diet or something like that. So what do you find that a lot of people right now are necessarily doing wrong with a lot of those other diets?
With, like, say a ketogenic diet or something, you mean?
Or just like some of the diets that your clients are coming up to you, necessarily what they're doing right now that you're able to get them off of with more your nutritional view plan that works better for them.
Yeah,
I always thought that was weird that people would tell me that they're on a keto diet, and I'm like, you do realize, like, ketosis is a problem. Like, that's not a good thing for your body, and you're literally you're following a diet-based plan to increase the ketones within your body that can ultimately, if you stay on it too long, can cause ketosis, which is the starvation response, and so a famine response.
Sure.
So yes, that is going to help you lose weight, but it is by far not something that is, my definition of fitness is sustainable wellness.
Sure.
The keto diet is not sustainable.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what are some of the diets, I guess, is what I'm asking, that you've seen people are coming to you telling you that they're doing right now that they just have not been working for them?
Well, a lot of people think they're eating healthy by choosing things like low-fat yogurts or Belvita breakfast bars.
Right.
Basically, too much
The
processed
blueberry
foods.
ones taste good, though, Joe.
Yeah.
The blueberry ones do taste good.
I won't doubt that they taste good. Just mostly people eating too many diet foods, and health foods, and not actually eating real healthy food. Raw fruits and vegetables. As many calories you can get from raw fruits and vegetables needs to happen. And most people barely eat 4 or 5 servings a day of even cooked vegetables. So.
Right.
People are way off the mark
Yeah.
with that. So that's the biggest one. Is
Or they're
they'll come.
supplementing a lot of it when they can't eat, when they need to, is going with the fast food places and
Yeah.
getting the bad stuff, which I think normally, granted, we get pretty burnt out on it. So, I mean, my girlfriend and I, we do pretty well about, like, eating pretty well, and we try and make up as much food as we possibly can, so we've always got it somewhat prepped. But we are big fans of, like, Chipotle and Qdoba. I mean, like, that's probably about as close as we get to really, like, a fast food restaurant is going someplace like that.
I think those are probably pretty decent options. Kind of like, you can go to Subway and you can eat pretty well, or you can eat pretty terrible there too. So it just depends on how you mix up your what you buy from them, for sure.
All right. So what would you say is one of the, I'll ask you 2 questions here, and they're kind of the same thing, just in different areas. What would you say is probably, when it comes to people's physical fitness and just being healthy overall, if people could improve, one thing within just their fitness lifestyle, what do you think that would be if you were going to make a recommendation to somebody?
Probably improve your mobility is probably the best thing you can do, because that's the biggest thing people lose as they age, and your mobility is your independence,
Right.
So.
And doing the different yogas and stuff like that, or something that's definitely going to help. So kind of going back a little bit, when I know it was Aishin's, is that it? Okay. So how is that different for the most part? I know you were saying it's a little bit more hands-on. They're dealing more with the alignments and such. So is that something that people can implement from other types of yoga? Like if say somebody was like, oh, well, I really do the vinyasa yoga, or I like going to doing the Bikram hot yogas.
Oh yeah.
Can they take implementations of the Aishin's yoga and just put it into those forms and movements that they're already, maybe in love with doing?
Oh yeah. So like, so what I've learned from the Aishin's yoga, I've applied the same concepts to the bodyweight exercises that I teach, to the other yoga moves that I incorporate in my dynamic yoga fitness system. I've applied some of the same concepts there, and I apply the same concepts if I'm picking up a piece of furniture. So the way you learn to engage your body with the Aishin's yoga is you can apply it to anything. You can take that and do it, and it just makes your other poses stronger if you do a different yoga class, or it'll make your exercises that much stronger and a lot more integrity, in your posture and in your movements.
Right. Because I did find that there was there was a studio that was in Edwardsville, a hot yoga studio, and I tried the Bikram yoga a couple different times, and used to do a couple of the different kinds. I had a couple books on them. Always like to start a workout and end one with a sun salutation. It was just kind of like a really nice thing to just get yourself kind of almost kind of like just cognitively aware of here's where my body's proprioceptive awareness is.
Yep.
And that kind of put me more in the frame of mind of like, this is what I'm going to go ahead and do. But I did find it funny and somewhat weird that a lot of the people within yoga, they would be like, oh, hatha yoga is great. And you talk to the person, they'd be like, no, vinyasa, that one is wrong. So you'd always hear these conflicting of like, this is the best, all the others kind of out. And that almost kind of translated out there within the same thing in the fitness industry. A lot of like personal trainers would be like, I'm the only one who really kind of knows what we're doing. Everything else, that's all kind of like different garbage there. But so I do like at least the idea that with what you're saying with the Aishin's yoga, it's something that's adaptable into whatever somebody's already doing with yoga.
Yeah, the concepts, that are applied in the Aishin's yoga, you can apply the same concepts anywhere.
Okay. Well, the last question I was going to ask you, nutrition-wise, if somebody was going to do one thing, I almost kind of assume you're probably going to say just start eating more vegetables and cut out the meat. But let's just already assume, because I'm pretty sure that'd probably be your answer, correct?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. All right. So then I guess I'll just reword that and ask you.
I might have another answer for you though. If you
okay, we'll go for it.
Well, what's the exact question?
I was going to ask you as far as the same thing in regards to fitness. What would be the one thing somebody could do probably if they wanted to start something tomorrow that would just drastically improve their nutritional intake on a daily basis?
Yeah.
What would you say that would probably be?
So just adding a green smoothie in is a great way to get a big nutritional boost for the day. So
would you say that'd be their first thing?
Yeah, I think you start your day off with that, then you start the day out on the right foot. You get depending on how big you make your smoothie, you knock out you knock out at least a third of your day's calories right there of all basically raw fruits and vegetables. And then, the rest of the day you can try to be good. But at least you've got that done,
Right. Yeah, we had tried, and you can't really make too many of them up at once, but we'd actually got to the point where we would make up multiple servings of smoothies and put them in freezer bags and then throw them in the freezer. So we really did, because we would literally be like, I'd wake up and I've got like maybe 25 minutes to get dressed, get out the door, take a real quick shower, just enough to get wet, rinse off from sweating at night, throw my meal prep stuff together, and I would always I'm probably like most people, breakfast was really difficult, but we would literally be able to kind of freeze some of the smoothie stuff. You just take that out of the bag, you throw that in the blender, and I'm not going through the crisper and pulling out the kale and the spinach and then scooping out, the milk and the protein and doing all that different stuff. It would already be there, just frozen. I'm just emulsifying it, liquefying it up, and that would be pretty easy. So then I guess if adding that smoothie in there, if somebody was wanting to make that transition into cutting out the meats and going with more of the vegetables and all that, what's the easiest way to make those transitions other than just say having a smoothie every day?
Yeah. A lot of people transition basically the way I did. You start out with the mock meats and whatnot.
Like the tofus?
Sure, tofus and like the soy burgers, but you can get better stuff now too. They've got the bean burgers that are pretty good, and things like that. So but those are considered kind of a processed food, but they are a meat alternative, and it's kind of like kind of like smoking cigarettes. You have that habit of smoking the cigarette. You've got that habit of having a hamburger for lunch every day, so you can
Right.
at least switch.
Do they find that like the soy patties, like if they're or like the bean patties, is like a bean patty that's trying to mimic being a burger? Is that going to have more sodium into it than just what the regular beans would by themselves because they processed it to try and become a patty?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it would probably depend on the brand,
Okay.
or if you made it yourself or not.
I was just curious on that. So whether or not if it was easier to, I found one time that I would be like, I could actually portion my portion control would come out if I started making a lot of the things I would normally eat. I just started doing it as a salad. I was like, instead of at night having a big old steak, I would make myself a steak salad.
Yeah.
And I would be able to find out. I'd be like, I was eating a lot more of my vegetables, but I was eating smaller quantities because I know it was one of the things I was trying to tell my mom, and I was helping her lose a lot of weight. Was just in the fact that salads take a lot more effort than just stuff you can use with a spoon and you can just keep shoveling down your throat, or a big old burger you can just stuff down your mouth. But salads, you literally have to take more effort and take longer eating it, and the longer you do that, the more full you can get.
Yep.
So I would just try and find different ways, and then I would actually find that I was able to more experiment with some of my foods. I was having more fun doing it, and I created some dishes that were absolutely delicious because I'd be like, well, instead of making this spaghetti and a sweet potato, like how can I put that into a salad, make that taste pretty good? And I would find out ways of doing it, and it would.
That's cool.
Even the ones that didn't taste great were still good.
It's still still fuel,
Yeah, it's still fuel, but no. So that was one of the kind of things that I had found on that. So, but if you were able to say anything as far as with what you're doing with your business, what's coming up with that you want to kind of let the people know about with the body weight workouts?
Sure. So this past year, I finished a book and put it out for sale on the internet called Dynamic Yoga Fitness. This is the same system I use with my clients.
And where can they find that ebook online?
You can go to my website, bodyweightlifestyle.com, and find it there. And there's probably also a few links for it floating around on my Facebook page as well. And then I've recently started some online training groups. So I have a 21-day rapid transformation program. The first group is going to be starting Monday. So if you want to keep tabs on them and see how they're doing, you can follow us on the Bodyweight Lifestyle Facebook page and watch their transformations. It's going to be pretty dramatic, I'm sure.
All within 21 days.
Oh yeah.
From doing the Aishin's yoga and cutting out meats and.
Yeah, and this is going to be. So I know transitioning to a plant-based diet. The way I did it was with the mock meats, and a lot of people do that. Another good way to do it, which is what I'm going to have these guys do, is we're starting with a short juice fast, basically, and then we're going to ease into more raw foods, and then kind of progress to, if they want to, more of the cooked foods and stuff. So the idea behind that is basically through the juice fast and just committing for the 21 days is that you break the food addictions, basically, So it's a little more extreme, but you're going to see as you watch their results, if you tune in and watch them, it's going to be dramatic, and they're going to feel really good while they're doing it.
Well, seeing the physical transformation, that's another good thing that will reinforce the transition of the palate. So, and that was one of the things I always liked about the juicing. And doing that different stuff is it was a great way to make it taste better, but also reintroduce into your body like an entirely new kind of palate that once you get used to, then you start kind of finding it more enjoyable in different mediums, and you start craving those flavors and tastes as opposed to some of the other ones. And what's really kind of weird, and it's been a while since I've had it, but I used to, some of the different things I used to tell with my clients, I'd be like, well, for one, like cut out corn, don't eat corn, you don't need it, your body doesn't process it, and if it's white, pretty much keep it out of your mouth. Other than like maybe cauliflower, like in small amounts. But when you start using a lot more things that are whole foods and more fruits and vegetables, things that we used to eat all the time, like last time I had mashed potatoes, like I really almost couldn't taste anything. I'm like, what is this? Like, this doesn't even really, all I could taste really was the salt and the butter added to the mashed potatoes. Other than that, there wasn't really anything to it of substance that you could really taste.
That's pretty much what everybody craves, is that the fat and the salt that's in all the junk foods. That's what they're looking for, and that's why their natural foods taste so bland, because they don't have that salty bite to them, and they don't have just the richness and savoriness of butter. But
right.
Much healthier.
Now, how many people do you have in this that are going to be starting on Monday?
So just 5. I just opened it up to 5 people. Right
Pretty
now,
wide age group.
This age group they're all in the 30s and 40s.
30s and 40s. All right.
Yep.
So I'd be probably, if you and maybe one of them, are they doing like any kind of a contest for it, or is it just each person on their own?
No, they've all kind of got their own goals with it. And we have our own private group on Facebook that we can communicate with each other right now that we're using.
Well, good deal.
So, yeah.
I was going to say that'd probably be interesting as far as if you'd be interested, and if maybe one of those 5 would be, that'd be fun to maybe bring you guys both out on here.
Sure.
Say within a month.
Yeah.
Let's talk with them, kind of see what they think was like the pain in the ass parts about making the transitions, and
yeah,
what
what
they
moments
get out
did they
from
hate
it.
me?
Exactly. So because you're not doing your job if at least they don't hate you part of the time. So.
Yeah, probably in the beginning,
Right.
because some of them I haven't eaten a vegetable for months, pretty much, and that's a big portion of what they're going to be eating coming up soon. So initially, you're not going to be a happy camper probably, but then once you kind of get transitioned and you get acclimated to eating those foods, plus your body has the nutrition it's been wanting for so long, and you start feeling like $1,000,000, then you're going to feel you have a different opinion of me.
Right. So now after this 21 days, are you going to be looking to get another group of people to sign up for the next 21 days, or when does that next one start?
So the next one, I'll probably start once these guys kind of get rolling. I'll probably stagger them a bit. That's
like
kind of
every
new.
2 weeks, start a new group.
Yeah, every
like
2 weeks, something like that. Start another group. A handful of people. As I get the program kind of built up and get all the logistics and kinks kind of worked out as far as presenting the materials to everyone and whatnot. But yeah, for right now, it's just a small group. So if you do want to do it, just send me a message on Facebook and let me know, and I will put you at top of the list.
Right, and anybody who's interested in doing that can find out all the information on bodyweightlifestyles.com with you, or find you on Facebook. And also, I've been watching. Well, I know you've got one video so far up there on YouTube where you're kind of demonstrating people some of the different poses as far as that you're finding beneficial, and always see your videos that you got up on Facebook. So definitely anybody who's interested that's wanting to do that, they're probably going to get every bit of it out there, and they can pay for that as well on your website.
Yes.
All right, perfect. All right, well, definitely thank you very much for being out here today.
My pleasure.
It was a pleasure having you out here. So excellent. And I look forward to seeing you and probably 1 or 2 of them maybe back here in about 25 or 30 days.
I'd love
if they
to
wanna
be
come.
back here. Yeah, sure.
So all right. Well, we'd love to have you, bud.
Awesome.